US-Sri Lanka relations as complicated. Let's see how complicated it is from a legal perspective and discuss some matters political too. We've got with us here Mr. Maitri Gunaratne, former governor and former many things in service of the nation. Very good morning to you, Maitri.
Good morning, Faraz.
And the foreign minister says the travel ban on the army chief has complicated US-Sri Lanka relations. First of all, on what basis is the Americans imposed a travel ban?
Faraz, I can't understand how they have imposed a travel ban because there is a presumption of innocence, which has been accepted by the UN declaration and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So until and unless a person has been proved guilty, you cannot impose a travel ban on anyone, their freedom of movement.
Right.
Now, all these have been guaranteed by this human declaration of human rights.
That's from the United Nations.
From the United Nations.
Right.
So now is America going against their? I mean, these are all agencies which have been created by them, and it is their agencies which are trying to run the world or to rule the world, basically. So their own human rights declaration says that this is not legal.
Right.
So if that is so, do these declarations or human rights charters apply to only the poorer countries who are dependent on richer economies, and is it a case where they can do whatever they want and they can take the law to their own hands? These declarations do not apply to them. So I feel, for us, there is absolutely no bearing, and they should not be making such statements because it goes against this idea of democracy, freedom.
To which they too have subscribed.
Which they too have subscribed.
Now, at the same time, when it comes to the UN Resolution 30/1, which was co-sponsored by Sri Lanka and the United States, they will expect us to act within the spirit of that charter, in meaning they want us to act according to what we've sort of signed up to.
Precisely.
But it appears that, or to put it mildly, what's sauce for the goose is not sauce for the gander.
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. For us, I mean, all these charters, most of the civilized nations have prescribed to.
Yeah.
So it has to be applicable to everyone in the same manner.
Right.
And if they are going to vary the degree of its application, then of course it becomes a joke.
Is there any real gain that we can expect to have when our foreign minister summons the US ambassador to his office and so on? Is this all theatrics which you have to do anyway, but does it make any difference? That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I of course, I mean, they are all diplomatic missions in Sri Lanka, and I don't know whether in the diplomatic parlance you can just summon them, like calling a school pupil, the teacher calling the pupil in a class.
Yeah.
I suppose it should be like a discussion,
right?
Because whatever said and done, these are all sovereign nations, and when you're dealing with them.
Yes, it appears that we are dealing with them as though they are a sovereign nation. Indeed, they are, but they don't seem to reciprocate.
No, that's right. But that doesn't give us the mandate.
Yeah.
Or just because they are not reciprocating or they are flouting it, that doesn't give us a mandate to behave in a undiplomatic manner.
Right.
So what I'm saying is they will not follow the protocol, or they may not follow the protocol, but at least I think we as a civilized nation should follow the protocol.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm this summoning and calling and threatening and all that. whether it's diplomatically right is an issue for us.
What I want to know is, rather than diplomatically, whether these actually make a difference. Do you foresee a possibility that is it a case of it's for America's point of view, it's our way or no way?
Yeah, correct. That is true. So when this kind of thing, when the minister just summons and tries to show the world that we have told the Americans off,
Yeah.
that type of impression if they're trying to give, I don't know how on the long run how it is going to affect the relationship.
Yeah.
But I of course feel that these have to be done diplomatically behind the stages and behind the stage and these things sorted out. But for us, I think I remember some time ago, before His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa became the president of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I think maybe 1 or 2 years ago there was also a rumor floated that he cannot get into the United States because there was war crimes against him.
Yeah.
But ultimately nothing turned out of it.
Yes, but again, this whole business about the presumption of innocence must apply.
Definitely, definitely.
And President Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, has said several times that he gave it all up long before, that his time in the United States had finished. They moved there, their son had been educated and got married and then got on with his life, and there was no other reason for them to remain, and that they wanted to come back. And he'd made this move a long time ago. And it appeared that they were just using these things as much as our local intelligence will suggest as to how a politician is doing or how a party is doing, how well it's doing. They also have their own intelligence.
Oh, definitely.
And so they may have identified him as being a potential winner. And do you think, how much of that has been gone towards sort of trying to scuttle Gotabaya Rajapaksa's attempts to become the president?
Faraz, they may have tried it initially, but when they found out that all what they are doing is not paying any dividends, they would have thought, okay, if we can't be against them, let's join them.
Right.
And not stood in the way.
Yeah.
So that I think that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
I think at the very inception, when the idea was floated that he was going to contest, the various rumors, I think till the last day of the election campaign, they were trying to say that he was not a citizen and he's a citizen of America and he has not renounced his citizenship and all that. But I think now no one seems to be talking about that. And I mean, not that it matters. I feel he has renounced his citizenship and he has come here. But I mean, what they did was, I think, very unfair, who did it, because till the last day of the election, they were trying to come and portray that he's not a citizen of, he's a citizen of America, and he has not renounced it.
Right.
But after he wins and the election is over, no one seems to be talking about it.
Right.
So this kind of thing, I think irresponsible utterances also must stop for us at some stage.
But do you foresee a situation where the US will back down and say, all right, then you can have you have him as your general, as a commander of the army?
No, it is not a case of backing down for us. If there is no inquiry, if they have not found him guilty, I can't understand how they are going to
But
pass it.
how can this now? Let's say that at some point legal action is taken against General.
Yes.
How can he be afforded a impartial hearing when the U.S. government itself has already decided that he's guilty, and therefore they've put this travel ban on him? So
for us,
you know what I mean?
But we'll say if there is an inquiry, the inquiry is not going to be held by the U.S. government. The inquiry will be held by a panel of judges, or a panel of legal experts, or maybe retired judges various Supreme Courts or various legal structures, they will be sitting, maybe 3 of them or 5 of them will be sitting, and then they will decide whether there is any kind of liability or not.
Right.
So vis-a-vis that, I don't think the US government will be able to, directly influence it.
But in the whole scheme of things, and in this need to move forward and so on, why are we getting ourselves stuck in a rut of the past? Why can't we learn from those experiences and move forward and develop the economy and so on and so forth? I mean, whatever said and done, whether it is 3,000, 7,000, or most definitely not 40,000, because that was just somebody's figure. Various people did disappear. Even if it was one person, that one's too many. That's disappeared. But why can't we don't seem able to move on from that?
No, Faraz,
why can't we move on?
I think, Faraz, what is happening is no one is taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
Now, these allegations have been coming for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And what happens is, whenever there is this Geneva Convention, or there is a forum,
then it starts boiling up.
Then it's still 2 months before it starts boiling up.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they do some patchwork.
Yeah.
And they somehow get over that period.
Yeah.
And then it goes to cold storage again.
Yeah.
Then again, the next year, 2 months before the meeting or the convention, this hots up again.
Indeed.
So what I feel is, if they allocate a special task force to go into this and sort this problem out.
Who would they be, though?
Well, it can be some eminent people in Sri Lanka, maybe consisting of judges.
Only Sri Lankans?
No, I don't know whether we can get foreigners involved. But even if it is, now we'll say that there are certain concerns which have been raised. So if those concerns are addressed, and if there is a transparent mechanism in which it was addressed, I can't see anyone coming and crying about it for us. Only thing is, nothing is happening. That is the main problem.
Well, yeah, nothing is happening because those people in the former conflict areas, there's still a vast number of them who don't have housing. They still, even though so many thousands of acres have been released, there's still this issue of some properties are still held by the forces, and surely they must at least make a decision, like you say, and move on and say, right, look, we can't give you this land back. We're not talking about it. That's it. But we will give you another plot of land. We'll give you compensation.
Faraz, with regard to the housing and with regard to the widows in the northern province, I don't think even the TNA, although they are supposed to represent the people in the north, they do not want to solve those issues. Because I feel if they are kept in misery, then their demand is more.
How awful that situation is.
That's a reality. That's the reality. So what I feel is, for us, no one wants to sort their problems out. And the housing issue, there were many governments, many funds which came. All those funds and governments, for us, shut down the housing, saying that this is poor standard housing, this is useless, this is too hot, all that. They never went into it. There was no proper reasoning. For some reason or the other, they didn't want the people to get the housing. And as a result, if I remember right, there is about 10 to 15,000 families which still need housing. But
I think there's about 65,000 that was needed. If you remember in the Sri Lanka combine, they were trying to provide 50 or 60,000 houses, and that was shot down. If you remember, the French company was here and so on.
Then there was some Indian line of aid also for us.
And even that didn't come through.
That didn't come through. So what I'm saying is, now here are people who are willing to give these houses free of charge.
I think, the case. Thank you for your questions, by the way. I'm looking through them now. Our number is 0772 300 305. Card coming up on your screen right now. Send us your questions. After all, this is your program, and we ask the questions that you want answers to. If we look at the example of the Philippines, just going back slightly, a step back, President Duterte there has just said, look, you can go. We're cancelling all these agreements unless you want to reinstate the visa for one of their officials. Now, it's the same situation here. We've got this visiting forces agreement and so on.
Yeah.
Right? Why should we sign any agreements when they are taking, for want of another word, unilateral action outside of the international norms, outside of the norms envisaged by the United Nations in terms of human rights?
Yeah, Faraz, for that, I feel that these matters will have to be spoken to in closed doors, and these have to be amicably settled.
Right.
Because I don't think countries like us, because we are so badly run, and we are in such a bad state, we can afford to take on and be arrogant with the other powers, because I mean, ultimately after maybe 2 hours after being arrogant, we have to go back to them for aid and various help. So when it comes
but the problem is that we're like beggars.
No, because for us,
Henry
our
Kissinger said that in
our
Bangladesh.
leaders,
Yeah.
for the last 72 years after independence, have made us not beggars, have made us paupers. So we
must at least maintain our dignity. We can be poor, but we can maintain our dignity.
Yeah, we have to. Not that I'm saying we should completely do away with our dignity.
Yeah.
But for us, we have been brought to a situation that is in the sense for the last 70 years.
But they're trying to control us with all these sort of things that they impose on us.
For us, moment you are dependent.
Yeah, but they do this because when they see our relationship blossoming with, let's say, China, they helped us. A lot of these things they helped us, but without the sort of caveats used by the others, like they want human rights, this, that, and the other. Those are all sorts of forms of control.
Definitely for us.
And so every time they do that, they're trying to. The president of the Philippines is just one great man. He just said, no, that's it. You can go off. This program's watched by all sensible people, so I can't say exactly what he would say. But President Duterte has never minced words.
No, I agree. But I don't know whether we are able to do that kind of thing for us, because our dependency, because
we had somebody nearly like Duterte in that way. We had that wonderful personality, the people's president, Ranasinghe Premadasa. You remember what he did to Gladstone?
No, I agree with what you're saying there. But the point is, for us, from Gladstone's time, we have gone backwards for the last maybe 30 years, and we are becoming basically like a pauper state for us.
Well, that's one of the things is that the country, like you say, has been poorly run, and we haven't spread our wings. We've been sort of dependent here, and it should have been spread more evenly. And that way we would have more strength.
Definitely.
It's just like a building. If you have, if you spread the sort of things there. There are various questions here. What somebody here says is that the Americans are only asking for a process so that matters can come to a closure.
Precisely. So why can't we do that?
Yes, but then you can't do that by playing bully. You can't say, well, do this or else, remove Shavendra,
By no means are we going to remove Shavendra.
Yeah.
But since the last 10 years, this process has not been set in motion. Would you agree for us?
That's true.
So if it has not been set in motion, then they will come in various forms of bullying in trying to get us to put this into that.
Right.
Get the mechanism working.
Right.
So, as I said before, why can't we get some process going and finish this matter? And then that they will decide and say, okay, there were so many people, this is what happened. If there were people killed, these were the amount of people which have been killed. Who killed them? Because for us, last few days of the war, can anyone say that the army killed and the LTT did not kill? Can they say that the LTT killed and army did not kill? It is not possible. It is not possible because the LTT, everyone knows that they were using civilians as human shields.
Yeah.
They were using them. It was they who did it, not the army. So those matters have to be gone into.
There are all sorts of different considerations. One is if you remember, we had the Paranagama Commission.
Yes.
In there, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 22,000 people, according to that report, says that they were sort of missing, can't account for. But the Red Cross had a different figure, it was around 7,000. And some chap called Gordon Weiss, wrote a book in which he's plucked out a figure and said it was 40,000.
Yeah.
And then these are all concerns, all right? And then there is the question mark about our current president's citizenship, and an interpretation would probably be called for, so that once and for all, none of these things, the point I'm trying to make is none of these things are ever closed and done.
No, they won't.
And if we had an explanation from the current president's lawyers to put this to bed once and for all, and say, look, I'm not now, and if you're talking about the repercussions of having had US citizenship and all that, I think the public of Sri Lanka owes it to be given a rational explanation.
Precisely.
Right? Not everybody in this country will know about the ramifications of having once been a US citizen, and now you've given it up. It's a bit like the Military Act, isn't it? The Army Act. It says that you can't indulge in politics even after 6 months after you've left. The act still applies to you.
Yeah.
So there's that period. So maybe there's something like that. According to some articles, some commentators are saying that there is that issue with the president of Sri Lanka. So why not have an explanation done and dusted?
That is what I can't understand for us.
We have all sorts of people talking about it.
And that is why we are being bullied time and time again.
Yes, because it seems that all our reactions and everything are all scattered here, there and everywhere. You have one minister who's got absolutely nothing to do with the Sri Lankan Airlines matter, saying that, oh no, Kapila Chandrasena and his wife, they've all, according to the information I have, they've gone. He's not even the minister in charge of the police. He's some state minister of something else.
Yeah.
Right? This is Mahindananda Alutgamage. But I'm just using him as an example. All sorts of people who know nothing about this proffer their explanations and toss it here and toss it there. But there's no closure, no finishing.
I think for us, we must make a request of the president to bring about a definite end to this.
Yeah.
Because every year, if you remember, Faraz, we have been bullied time and time again.
Now then, how way off the mark is Sri Lanka then, in terms of this?
I think we are a way off the mark. We are still not focused with regard to how we are going to sort this problem out. And it is a you have to have a special task force to coming under the president.
Yeah.
And for us, there can be if they want, they can get our neighboring countries like India, Pakistan.
When you mention India, I just want to bring this point up. Okay, Gladstone was one thing, but do you see what happened to the Indian so-called peacekeeping force?
Yeah.
They were completely embarrassed. They just left us. They went off and left the country. They're totally embarrassed by their attempted intervention, and that's where the strength comes from. If you act strongly, then the others are not going to leave you alone. And the Americans have learnt this in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they tried all their stunts there, but there was no match for all those tunnels and all sorts of things that the Vietnamese engaged in. And, so a similar thing happened in Sri Lanka along with the IPKF.
Correct.
Right? So it's not just the Gladstone thing, where Premadasa showed his strength. So if you have leadership, we're all down. If you took away the salad, the meat is that there is a lack of real leadership, visionary, strong leadership. That's what you need.
Definitely for us.
And how do we solve that?
Well, that is a matter which we have to be solved by the voting public of this country, because people ultimately vote for leaders whom they want, and if they are not performing for us, I mean, we are in dire straits because of that. So now for instance, this previous election, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, when he got an overwhelming majority, and everyone is expecting and hoping that he will perform.
But we need strong leaders. Now, even with President Rajapaksa.
He was perceived as a strong leader.
Yes, but exactly. He's perceived as a strong leader. But we can see little, the public are treated once in a way to little gems of information. One such gem of information was that note sent, the memo sent by the President's Secretary, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, to everybody, saying that not everybody can get involved in matters of finance and so on. There was a little telling off, because obviously from the Prime Minister's side came various bits of things that were called interference. And clearly the President has got wind of this and issued instructions. To me, that's a bit of a gem of an information that suggests to me that whilst the President is going like that, the Prime Minister's office is going somewhere else. And old habits die hard. And he's used to a different type of governance. But this strong leadership, we need it.
The difference is, for us, the Prime Minister is a politician.
Right.
And he has to please his political followers.
Right.
Whereas the President was not a politician.
Yeah.
And he was an administrator.
Yeah.
And as Defence Secretary, I would say he was a successful Defence Secretary.
Yeah.
This country has had. So I think that is the clash.
Yeah.
Or that is the problem this government is having, where the Prime Minister is trying to satisfy the political needs and the political ends, and the President is trying to go in one direction, trying to get the thing get the show on the road.
Yeah.
So these are matters which they will have to talk and they will have to solve, because the people who voted for him have voted for him with great expectations. And I must say, it is almost 3 months now, and it is a disappointing state of affairs.
Now then, before the elections, at a press conference, now President Gotabaya, he said, why so many questions about the past? Why not about the future?
Yeah.
Well, the past can shape the future, but that's one thing. But what about this business here, that you need strong leadership? And in terms of the American matter, for example, not only the American matter, this whole business about reconciliation and moving forward, you can't just move forward, because we need accountability. We need this process. So we need accountability, closure, even some sort of amnesties. How possible is that under a Rajapaksa. Bearing in mind, the reason I'm saying the Rajapaksas, I'm not just picking them up like the 40,000, because it was President Mahinda Rajapaksa who was the president at the time, and Gotabaya was the defense secretary. Now,
Faraz,
it's the other way.
Faraz, you take Foreign Minister Lakshman Kadragama,
Yeah.
appointed by Mrs. Chandrika Kumaratunga. When Mr. Lakshman Kadragama was appointed Foreign Minister, you would remember our reputation in the world was below zero. But after he became Foreign Minister,
Yeah.
he single-handedly turned this around. So that is the difference one man has made.
Right.
Now, in the same way, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will also have to find another Lakshman Kadragama who will turn this around, who will go to various capitals of the world, meet, lobby, and turn this around. This is a you have to work at it for us.
Yes, I know.
Nothing happens automatically.
That's true, but you know, when this is the whole point about the current president having been a former U.S. citizen, he's silent, almost silent. Well, I think he's silent on this issue of his general, his commander, his army commander. Why can't he take a really strong stance and tell them to, you know, go fly kite?
No, I don't think he needs to.
He's the commander-in-chief.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't think he needs to, because if he must be assuming that the U.S. will always follow the legal process without just.
That's one hell of a how to do this legal process.
No, the point is, otherwise for us,
Yeah.
I mean, now he himself was having the same accusation.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what nothing transpired. He went to he went to America.
Yeah.
He came back. There was absolutely no issue in his travel.
Yeah.
There was no arrest. There was no questioning.
He's been up and down several times.
Several times.
Yeah.
So, mind you, before that, there was this dark cloud looming above his head, that he also is involved with war crimes. So,
Mr.
because
Mr. Sirisena said, "I'm not signing anything," and he didn't sign anything.
Yeah. So even I don't think the need for the president to get involved is there right now. That's why the foreign minister has.
Even the Mahanakas are saying, issuing statements and so on about this thing. It appears that Gota Bear, our president, is on his own. I'd like to see him. He's not normally silent like this. Why doesn't he come out firing?
No, I don't think he needs to do that for us. I don't think it warrants that. This is a matter which the foreign minister will have to sort out.
He's got his work cut out then.
Who, the foreign minister?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we hope to have the foreign minister on our program.
Would he come?
Well, he's told me that he will come.
Definitely, that's good.
So he's only got this business about turning up early morning.
He's a late riser.
Well, I don't know. But now that he's the foreign minister, I think he lives closer to our studios.
Okay.
So we have a fighting chance. But we'll keep you all informed, and we will have the foreign minister, Dinesh Gunawardena, on the program very soon to have a good look at that. I'm sorry that we couldn't talk more politics, but I hope that we will have another opportunity soon.
Thank you.
And we wish you well in your politics.
Thank you, Faraz.
And we hope that at the end of the day, we hope we will be able to get strong leaders who say and do who will do what they say.
Not only that, for us, I think it is time we, as a program, as a TV channel, and I think media plays a major role in the country and everywhere in the world. We must, you all also must impress upon the government to bring this to a finish. Otherwise, this is just continuing, embarrassing our people, embarrassing our country.
If there's one thing that we at News First and the Maharaj Group have done, is that we've never backed off.
No, I know that.
We don't back off. That's not in our ethos. In our ethos is we represent the people, and we will continue to do that. Whether they like it or not, we'll be doing that. And thank you.
Thank you, Faraz.
And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care. Have a great week ahead of you. And of course, God bless.